Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Christian Music Bros podcast. I'm Brendan,
And I'm Braden.
and welcome to our podcast. If you like what you're hearing, remember to like, follow, subscribe, comment. We'll respond to your comments as well. So if you comment away, we'll respond back to you. Or you can follow us on Instagram or Facebook. And maybe Twitter coming soon. I'm still debating to make a Twitter, but we'll see how that goes. So, Brendan, how's your couple weeks been since we last talked?
It's been pretty good. Been recovering through a little bit of sickness, but doing so much better.
That's good to hear. I just got back from vacation myself, getting ready to see Matthew West and Mac Powell on Friday night. So that's going to be a fun time.
Awesome, definitely. And I'm seeing Corey Asbury and Riley Clemens this Thursday.
I always wanted to see Corey Asbury. I've seen Riley Clemens. She puts on a good show, and she did really well when she was at Winter Jam too a few years ago. So that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So this week's episode is going to be a little different from what you guys are used to. We usually choose like an album and discuss track by track, or we'll just discuss a topic or just talk with the guest star. But today we're going to just go through a couple album releases that came out recently, and we're just going to discuss a couple songs about each album and why you should check it out. And if we have a little more time, we'll discuss what's coming soon that you guys can stay tuned and listen to, and something you can enjoy. Before we begin, Braden, what is your favorite album that has came out recently?
Man, that's a tricky question because there's so many amazing albums always coming out. It's hard to remember them all too when there's so many. My current favorite has to be what I'm currently listening to over and over in my vehicle, and that would be Grace Graber's EP. I just love it. It's a fresh thing of rock, and that's currently what I've been listening to the most. I don't know about favorite, but it's my most listened to at the moment. How about you?
Yeah. Mine is, I like Matthew West's new album, and both of those, Grace and Matthew West's album, are two of the albums we're actually going to discuss today. So it's perfect fitting. So that's exciting. And I've been listening to a lot of Disciples' new singles. I'm waiting for that new album, Skeleton Psalms, to drop. I think it comes out April 26th, if I'm correct. So I'm excited to see. I'm ready to see that drop soon.
Definitely. The singles have been mind-blowing how good they're doing still after all these years.
And it sounds like they're finding their way, and this is going to probably be like their best album yet.
Agreed, yes.
But anyway, back to our scheduled program. So the first album we're going to discuss today is Matthew West's new album, My Story, Your Glory. This is actually a non-studio album, and there's a couple he released like a new single like every day for a week right up to the album release, and he released like 6 singles even right before the album was announced. And this is a double album. There's like 24 tracks for you to indulge into and listen, and it's just hard to choose like one that you like listening to. So, but like a couple of the songs that stood out to me were My Story, Your Glory, which is the title track. And that's been one of the most popular songs. He's now on the My Story, Your Glory tour with Mac Powell. So that's a huge song on the thing. There's also Me on Your Mind, which is a calmer, nicer song. Like if you want to relax, it's about us being on Jesus's mind and watching over us. And then there's You Changed My Name, and that's more of a worship vibe. So Matthew West went like a full Matt Redman vibe for that song, in my opinion. And then this is just a bonus song. I just added it in when we were talking. It's a song called Greatest Hits, and that features mainstream country artist Granger Smith. And this one's getting a lot of traction just because it's another Christian artist pairing off with a mainstream artist.
Definitely love seeing that. Yeah. And like you said, this entire album, it's a long one. It's so many songs, but I mean, that's always a plus. So many amazing songs like the ones you mentioned. Those are some of my favorites as well, especially Me on Your Mind. The first time I heard it, it was like, I feel like it released like a year before the album came out because he's been releasing so many singles leading up to it. Eventually the song grew on me. I loved it when I first heard it. And then even now I love it even more. It makes me cry many times. Such a beautiful song. And like you said, Matthew West, he's gone almost half worship with this album. I believe one of the second side was just all worship songs, which is incredible. It's so good seeing, like you said, it's kind of all Matt Redman feeling or Chris Tomlin, but it's beautifully done.
And my favorite song about the album, which I didn't bring up in that list, those are just like some of the popular songs we're bringing up. So we're bringing up like the popular songs to these albums, and then we're going to discuss like our favorite from the album, just so people who are listening or watching know. So I like the song Before You Ask Her, or While I Can. I like the 2 slow ballads. This is a lot of these songs are like just like a personal song for Matthew, and they're slower vibes. They kind of remind me, if you listen to Matthew's earlier works, like Jesus in You or The Beautiful Things That We Miss from like the All In album. That's the kind of vibe with those 2 songs.
Agreed. Yes, I love the vibe of those. I love when I first heard it. It's definitely one of those personal songs that isn't just a song he's releasing for others, but it's a song he's releasing for himself. That's a message to him and his family, and those songs are so personal, touching.
And my favorite part about Matthew personally is a lot of his songs come from like stories people submit, and he writes songs about them. I have a friend personally that has a song written by Matthew West that is on one of Matthew West's albums on one of his songs. But I'm not going to go into that detail right now, but
Wow.
it's really cool to see like how he actually takes people's stories and make a song out of them. Our next album we're
So
going to
true. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next album we're going to discuss is a debut EP. This is Consumed by Fire. This is their debut EP with Red Street Records. So I think this is a new record label for Consumed by Fire. They had a few other albums come out, but they got a new record label previously. And a couple of the popular songs off this album were First Things First, Goodbye Old Me, and It's a Yes. So it's pretty cool to see Consumed by Fire release new music for the first time since like 2017, 2018 in that range. And it's just exciting to see what's next for them. This new EP was really good, and I'm excited to see how this new record company shifts into their music.
Agreed. Yes. When I first heard I've heard their name for years, but when they first released a song to radio, First Things First, I saw it gain traction. I was like, okay, I'll finally check this band out. And I was blown away. The songwriting in that song, the worshipful tone along with the message, it's stuff that I'm not seeing Christian music for a while, and it's so beautiful. And then Goodbye Old Me is completely a pop upbeat. It's so good. Like these are definitely one of my favorite upcoming bands now. It's Consumed by Fire. And like you said, Red Street Records is pulling out some amazing artists with like Kay Thompson and a few others. And it's amazing seeing how this label's grabbing so many new talent like Consumed by Fire. And I'm super excited to see how that goes. Hopefully we get an album from them, because this EP definitely calls for so much more with the amazing songs, the amazing messages in them. Like I love this, man.
And if you want some like short out EP to play, and you're like, I don't want to listen to like a full 28 song album like Matthew West just released, we recommend listening to this 6 song EP. And I want you to tell us what you think about it. So please comment and tell us how you feel about the EP. Our next one is going to be a debut album, and I'm talking about Katy Nichole. She released an EP last year, and now we have a full-length album, which is pretty exciting to see. A couple of the popular songs off this one were In Jesus' Names, which has gotten a lot of mainstream radio success. Hold On, and a big single, which was off her EP and got moved on to her album, is God is in the Story. And this features actually Big Daddy Weave. So it's pretty cool to see a big band like Big Daddy Weave come to like a newer artist with Katy Nichole. And have you ever watched a music video to the song?
I did, yes.
So in the background of the music video of the song, there is a bass guitar empty by the Big Daddy Weave drummer, and it's in remembrance of Mike Weaver's brother Jay, who was a bass player in the band who'd passed away. You have to look at it
Indeed.
closely. But like it just shows you that like this is a big powerful song, that God's in our story and everything's a part of God's plan. And this is like kind of like a hint that Jay is still with us and he's a part of God's story, and he's a big part of Big Daddy Weave's story too, and Katy Nichole's story with them.
So true. Yes. Like I love that representation they did there. Because even when the story goes in ways that, like I know so many people, including us, we were praying for Jay, and God brought him through so much, but yet this still happened. However, it's not the end of the story. It's still a testimony. His life, it's still, even when God's story goes different than how we may see it, it's still a testimony to reach others with the hope, with the love, with knowing the strength. Like seeing the believers all over gather around Jay was incredible. Some people were touched by it. And like this song, it's touching so many others. And I know it's touched like Big Daddy Weave, Katy, and so many others. Like so many friends of mine from church, they've asked me, have you heard this song? Because it's going beyond what people are seeing. It's reminding them of the story God has in our lives. Like Matthew West's album, My Story, Your Glory. And then God is in this story along with that. It's just so beautiful how that seems to be a theme that so many artists are jumping into.
And that was my favorite song off the album. I also like the song that we didn't discuss. It's called Please. And that's like also big. It's a little different from her rest of this album. If you listen to it, they're like, is this even the right album? But it's actually a real powerful. It's a little heavier, like not like heavier, but just like a heavier instrumental. Like God in the Story is more like piano and calming guitars. This is more like a little louder for instrumental wise.
It is, yes. I love how she went with a different style with that one. It's still got the Katy Nichole sound, but it's definitely more sound like a Crowder song a little bit. It's just so into it. I love that. And it completely pairs well with the theme of the album. Like you said, Hold On, In Jesus' Name, which I'm pretty sure if you know Christian music, you know In Jesus' Name, because it's beautiful, mega hit. I just love the diversity in this album and how well she carries it. It definitely makes her a top artist to watch, because again, like these songs, we don't know what to expect from Katy, but it's going to be good.
On the next album, or the next song on the album, or the next album, my bad, I'm sorry, brain fart, is a friend of ours. This is their second EP. I think Brad knows where I'm going with this, so we're just gonna put out the elephant in the room, I guess. This is Grace Graber. If you remember here, Grace was with us about a month or two ago discussing her EP. She has the big song with Jason Dunn, This One's For You, that we can finally actually discuss for once, because they're like, we really can't discuss this because it's not out yet. And there's a couple, this is a big album for mental health awareness, and just like, if you're in a dark place, this is a song to uplift you. Another song in this EP that was really popular is Do It For Me. But I think the biggest one outside of This One's For You with Jason Dunn is The Light.
Agreed. Yes, like all these songs have been so impactful. Like you said, definitely songs for mental health community. Like I'm definitely like, I love Brandon Lake's album. I love so many artists that have touched on this. Recently, though, I think Grace is the only one that I've really seen dive into that, really, other than like Disciple and a few other artists. And it's just such a good album. Like the rock sound, the pop, all of it comes together so well. Like it's definitely a huge step up from her first EP, and it's still an amazing release. So many songs, especially This One's For You featuring Jason Dunn. That song rocks. It is amazing, and we're so glad to finally be able to talk about this because
We had
it's
both
amazing.
of
Indeed, but yeah, the album is just incredible. Definitely a must listen that I know both of us we're not getting enough of because it's so good.
And Grace is a really good person, and you should follow her and Jason Dunn as well. They are both really big supporters of our podcast, and I appreciate them coming out, taking their time to be with us on our podcast. So thank you, Grace and Jason, if you're listening. Thank you for joining us in the last couple of weeks or the last few episodes. So we appreciate it.
Definitely.
And then we have one more project we're going to discuss, and this is Micah Tyler's new album or EP, whatever you want to call it. It's the People Like Us album / EP. This song has a couple big songs like I See Grace and Praise the Lord. And these are big mainstream radio hits. Some of these songs remind me of a Matthew West vibe. I don't know why we keep circling back to Matthew West, but this is what the album reminded me of.
Agreed. Yes, it definitely has got that Matthew West level of songwriting and skill. Micah Tyler, it feels like he's been around so long, but he's still a newer name in Christian music. Yet he's completely done so well with all these songs and this new EP with I See Grace, which was an amazing song, huge. And then, like you said, so many other ones, People Like Us, Praise the Lord, so many others. Like Micah Tyler's got an amazing gift of songwriting, and this EP really hammers into that. I'm surprised it wasn't in a full album, honestly, with how good it is, how many songs are in it. But it's definitely so impactful and really carrying through a lot of people with the messages, with the vulnerability that Micah Tyler is known for so well.
And he has a new song on EP. If you haven't listened to it, I recommend it. It's called Remember This. This is kind of a personal song. It kind of reminds me of a song he was writing for his wife. And it's really nice and personal. It's a slow piano ballad. So it's kind of, I thought it was Mercy Me at first, honestly, listening to the song, but it kind of makes sense because Micah Tyler's always on tour with Mercy Me. Like I swear, every time I see him on tours, Mercy Me featuring Micah Tyler. But I recommend listening to the song if you haven't yet.
So true.
So those are the main albums and EPs we're discussing. There's been plenty more albums came out, such EPs. We had Unspoken released one, Bethel Music has released one, and there's just too many to go in depth for. And there's a lot more coming out. So we're going to go dive into a couple of those very quick, just saying what we're excited to listen to. We already discussed one of these, and that's Disciple. And I'm excited to see what's next with their album. Like we already discussed a lot of their tracks. All 3 tracks are hit singles right now. And this album actually comes out in the next 2 weeks. So you can pre-order it now. And I'm excited. I'm about to pre-order it myself.
Oh yeah, definitely. With the songs and everything, it's definitely, like you said, maybe one of Disciple's best release yet because it's so good.
And then we know Cade Thompson's releasing a new album soon called Empty Room, which is exciting because this will be Cade's second album. And Cade is a great artist. He was really cool at the We Love Awards. It was really cool to see him there, get up and everything. So I'm excited to see Cade, especially after his hit singles, Provider, Source of Life, and everything from his last album. I'm ready to see what's next for Cade and the next step for Cade.
Same. Yeah, this album definitely seems like a more personal album, a lot more impactful in just the way his words, the lyrics are coming across, like the song title track Empty Room. That one hit me deep when I first heard it. It's different, but it's such a good one. I'm super excited for this album. He's also having an album release concert in Nashville, so I'm excited for that.
Are you going?
I'm gonna try to, yes.
And then the last EP we're gonna or album coming out. It's Colton Dixon's new EP. I think it's called Canvases, if I'm right. Is it
Yeah.
Canvases? Yes, I knew it was. I didn't know that was an EP name or song name. I just got mixed up. But this is pretty cool. But it's Colton's an interesting artist because the last thing he released was an EP. So I wonder if these two EPs will merge into an album and make one big massive album for each other. But I think
Possibly, yeah.
I don't know the track list personally. Like I said, this is not out yet. But I think his hit single "Build a Boat."
Mhm.
Okay, I don't know if you guys had to pause on our end or whatever. I lost Wi-Fi or my Wi-Fi disconnected, so I apologize if there was like a big minute of silence here. Thank you for being patient and staying tuned in. But what I was saying is, yeah, the Colton Dixon's hit single "Build a Boat." I think they're gonna have both versions of the song on the EP, and I'm excited to see what's next for that.
Definitely, yeah. Build a Boat did above and beyond what anyone expected it to do on radio, and I love that. I love the message of it, the impact of that song, especially with the other single Cone Dixon released leading up to the album. Such a good one, such a good intro to the album, which seems to be definitely like Miracles. It's going to be poppy, it's going to be edgy, and also with a different style to it that Cone Dixon has just rocked so well. I'm super excited to hear what he does with this EP.
Hey, Colton or Grace, you guys should team up. I think you guys would be a perfect match for a song.
Definitely, that would be legit fire.
And I'm just gonna bring up two quick singles. Justin Warren's releasing a new single. I'm excited to see what's next. I met with Justin Warren a few weeks ago, and that was really exciting to see. And then Visible Music Collective is also releasing a single. I'm really excited to see. Visible Music College is a big sponsor of the We Love Awards, and that's actually where Moretta and I have met. The one time we met in person, it was at Visible Music College for the We Love Awards. So you should check them out. I know like Hope Van Douser is a great worship singer, and she'll be a part of the band. And it's a great little worship thing that you wouldn't know about much unless you hear about it. So I recommend you checking them out. They're located in Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you for everyone that tuned in for this episode. We are excited that you guys are here with us, and we appreciate your time. Yeah, so thank you for tuning in, and I hope you guys all have a great day, week, month, wherever you are. Thank you for our one listener in Brazil. I know we have a listener in Brazil. I don't know, but I want to thank you especially because I like how we're getting around the globe. And remember to like, follow, and subscribe to this podcast. Have a great week, everyone.